Hey guys, Nick Drossos,
Dr. Andrew Steinberg.
and welcome to another episode of...
Have the balls to talk about it.
And this week our guest, Peter.
How you
My
doing,
good
guys?
friend Peter. So we've done many shows, over 50 now, but we've never done one on such a, I think, important, huge topic, and that's on homosexuality. And Peter, if any of you know or don't know, is my best friend since we're 12 years old. And we've been waiting for this for a long time to get him on the show and talk about experiences. So I think we needed to break this up into a couple of things. And you know, obviously it's different to be gay today than it was to be gay when we were growing up. And I think we should tell the story of how you came out. So you want to tell it, or
You mean how you outed me, right?
how I outed Peter?
Okay.
I'm the one.
Did you outed him?
Yeah.
For
So
real?
so the story is that we were probably about 24, and like I said, we were friends since we're 12. And I was hearing people coming up to me and saying, "Hey, is Peter gay? Is Peter, you know?" And
At that point, did you ever think, or did
I
you...
never thought about it, and I kept on. I was saying, I don't know. He
'Cause I
never.
was such a stud and I had all these girls running after me.
He had,
right?
yeah. I mean, Peter was with more girls than any of us. You know, he had girlfriends, and it was completely. You know, I never thought of it. I guess it. You know, maybe today it's a little bit different because we think about it more. It's so much more out there. So, I called Peter one day, and I said, "Listen, I need to talk to you about something serious. Something." And he said, "Yeah, what is it?"
Was it awkward for you to do this?
I was nervous. I was, you know, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where to go with it. So I called him up and I said, "Listen, I've been hearing rumors." That's exactly what I said. I've been hearing rumors, and if it's not true, I want to put an end to the rumors. And if it's true, I want to know why the hell you didn't tell me. And it's about you being gay. And you remember what you answered me?
I said, "Do you blame me for not
You
telling
blame me for not telling you. So
And we're going back
25, 27 years or whatever.
1994, 93.
Yeah. So I'll let you tell your side of it, but I was insulted. I said, "Well, what did you expect? Did you expect me not to be friends with you? Did you expect to be mad at you? Did you expect me to be what?" So, in a way, and it's selfish from our point, but I kind of felt betrayed. You know, here was my best friend, and I don't know one of the most important things about his life. You know, and so I was upset. Of course, I understood that it must be hard and it must have been difficult to come on. And just to finish my part of the story, you know, he said, "Okay," we talked for an hour, and then he went to call some of our other friends to tell them. We all got together, our group of friends, the next day and had a coming out party. And then within 3 days, I think the whole city knows. And, you know, Peter knew a lot of people. He's very social and whatever. And, you know,
If you're gay in Côte St. Luc, then they find out like the next day. You can't walk through the Cavendish Mall without everybody knowing, you know. So, no, or any of your business for that matter, not just, you know. So, but it was obviously very refreshing for me and very a ton of bricks off my shoulder. It wasn't so much about my friends; it was my parents.
Your parents.
If it gets back to my parents before I get to them, or that's what you're always worried about. It wasn't Andrew that I was worried about not telling him that I was gay, and I know he could keep a secret, but in Côte St. Luc, there's no secrets. so that was my concern.
Was Andrew one of the reasons why you came out when he asked you? Is that...
Well, I was getting to the point where I would have had to anyway. My sister knew.
Yeah.
I had a partner at the time that I didn't hide from my mother. So she kind of knew, but without me telling her, but she knew. So
you were getting sloppy.
I was getting
That's
sloppy.
That's why the rumors were coming out, because
Right.
people
And I
saw him.
was never home. I was always at my partner's place, but I had to keep my apartment, right? And there were no cell phones back then, so you couldn't have so the call, leave a message. I'd call him for my messages every 20 seconds. Thank God there was no call display back then, because I would call from his house and nobody would know where I was calling from. Today you can't do that, you know. You can be tracked wherever you are. But it was like a ton of bricks lifted off my shoulders. I told.
But you were living two complete separate lives, because I swear, I mean, we still got together and friends and traveled together and everything, and I had no idea. And I even went back and I said, what did I miss? Like, how did I miss that, you know? You feel kind of stupid, for sure.
Well, if you're not looking for it, you don't suspect it. So
Yeah. And your mother was okay with it?
yeah, my mother knew, because
Your father?
Carl, I would bring to my mother's house for dinner every Monday night, and we had no reason. He was 7 years older than me, and we didn't work together. He didn't go to McGill. There was no reason for me to be friends with this guy so close, like from left field. So my mother figured it out. Mother always knows, right? She was fine. Everybody was fine, except for my father. Usually dads have the hardest time with it. Being Greek, you know, in the community and in any cultural community, it's not.
But ours is a little bit more Jewish, Italian, Greek. That mentality is a little bit, especially
Absolutely.
25 years ago.
Yeah, any cultural community.
It takes a lot to come out and.
There was a movie. I look. What was it?
Mambo Italiano.
My son's a homosexuale.
That was a good thing. That I don't remember his name, the playwright who wrote it, the Italian guy. It was his story. And
Based in Montreal.
Yeah, in Montreal. It was a play at Centaur Theatre. They made it into a movie, and it was they exaggerated, but the mother was very proud of her son being homosexual. She wasn't hiding it, you know. And I had the good fortune of being with an Italian for 12 years, so I'm more I'm more Italian than I'm Jewish sometimes, you know. So and his mother was fine with it because he was dating a Jewish guy. So she was very happy about that because, you know, I could get her a good doctor or a good lawyer or a good accountant. So she was very happy. Udrif is very good, you know. But my dad was the big one. He had no idea, totally left field. We had a.
Was he in denial over it?
Yeah, we had a dinner and everybody was all nervous and I was very calm and I told him and then the first thing he did was he poured himself a drink. Then he took his puffer for his chest pain. And I said, it's going to happen right here. It's going to be my fault, you know. 50 years old and he thinks he's going to go because his son is gay. But then he had a hard time with it. He really did. But he came around. He realized that it was not a choice.
He came around very, very slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. I forced him to go with his second wife. My parents were divorced, to a social worker who specializes in the community. He didn't want to talk about his problems in front of strangers. I think there were 5 couples with gay children, all Jewish, and the social worker was a Jewish lady. So for him, that was comforting, and it was actually good because he was able to be in a situation where he could vent and say, "It's an abomination. It's disgusting. It's the worst thing. It's why me? I'm the only one in the world. What did I do wrong? Is it genetic? Should I go back to my ancestors in Poland to find out where we went wrong?" Literally.
Did he go that far?
This is like in his thought process. Is there a vaccine somewhere? Like, so. But the other parents were the same way. So, anyone he would say to in our immediate family would say, "You're not being nice. He's still your son. You know, unconditional love and all that. He's still the same." So he had no friends who were supporting him. So there were 3,000 people in my corner and him in his corner. So, and that I realized that much later on. At the time I was very confrontational, but as I grew up and grew into my gay life and my open gay life, I realized that can't be easy for a dad who's already, remember Archie Bunker?
Yes.
Okay, but my father's like the Jewish version of Archie Bunker. So yeah, everyone's okay as long as they're not in my family, right? Not in my backyard type of thing. And he went, and I don't know what went on in those sessions, but apparently a lot of things were said that would upset me or probably upset anybody here.
Sure.
In terms of, but he had to say it, he had to get it out and have a sympathetic ear. And then he called me and invited me to, I think it was Passover, with my partner.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like...
So that was a big step.
That was a big step. That was a big step. And he saw it was a nice guy, and he liked him, and he came from a good family, and it was like he would have liked him for his daughter, you know. More than for his son.
I want to because I want to talk about now what it's like, but I want to go back to when you first when you first sort of thought about it or entertained the idea that you were gay, and 2, what it was like in high school.
Well, when someone asked me, when did you know? My response is, when did you know you were straight?
I was really young.
He's still battling that.
Yeah, exactly. The guy with the bling and the bracelets and the diamonds and the jewelry. I wear no jewelry just for dinner, but yeah, Nick's wearing a lot of diamonds there. But no, I always ask that, when did you know you were straight? It's sexuality. I believe we're born this way, and they've done studies on brains that are given to science.
So you were
there's
very
different parts of the
young.
brain that are developed differently.
You were very young.
Yeah, right. When you first having those sexual thoughts when you're a kid, and you don't know what they are, your babysitter, okay, you're 5 and she's 12, and she's going through puberty, and you feel something, and you don't know what it is, but you know you like looking at your babysitter, right? It's the same type of thing. But you don't think it's wrong because you're young. You don't know that it's wrong to look at a man.
So you were attracted to men from a young age.
it's not that I knew that.
No, you're attracted, but
The-
that's
those,
what you were.
that feeling, that first feeling you
Yeah.
had, sexual feeling. I don't know if we're 3 or 5 or in the womb. I don't know when it starts because there's different theories of when sexuality develops. But I had no problem being with girls either. And there's a lot of men today who are married and still have homosexual affairs.
Do you remember
on the same-
battling it when you were
yeah,
young?
Yeah. I remember thinking it's going to go away, right? And eventually I'll just get married and have kids and live a normal life like everybody else and live in Côte Saint Luc and my kids will go to Bialik. And it didn't work out that way, but I figured I could repress it.
So did you think you were maybe bisexual at some point?
No.
You
no.
knew you were gay.
I knew.
And then you had girlfriends too, right?
Yeah. And then eventually it
How was
becomes like...
that? How was that?
Well,
having
high
a
school.
girlfriend?
Think about high school and CGIP years, you know.
Yeah. I had girlfriends. You try to repress it, but then you act on it too. I mean, it's a normal thing. Because if I told you, you have to abstain, but there's girls running after you, would you be able to? No. Because sorry, I'm not doing this. You can't, especially when you're 17, 18, 19, your hormones are going berserk, right? When you're a teenager. So I said eventually it'll just go away. And I was with one girl for 3 years in McGill, who Andrew knew because his girlfriend at the time and my girlfriend at the time were arch enemies. That's a little sidebar. But they made up and they became friends for our sake, and we went on weekends together. And I was with her, and then we broke up. And I went to Israel for a year, and I met a nice girl in Israel from Los Angeles. And I couldn't do it. I tried and I couldn't do it. I said, like, who am I kidding? Now I knew, like, when I get back from Israel, that's it. I'm going to start my life.
But all through these times, you were having interspersed, relationships with men.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are many men still today who are married with women and have sidebar things with men, and they go to bars or they go to the bathhouses, which is unfortunate because
they just keep repressing it forever.
Exactly, but those are the places where the STDs are more prevalent. People don't practice safe sex in those environments, and these men could be going home to their wives and potentially contaminating them. So it's.
What do you think makes them live like that? The fear of coming out, having both lives, like.
Well, I would imagine that it's, if you're 18 and want to come out, it's one thing. But if you've been living your life for 50 years,
Exactly.
like how do you come out?
It's still taboo. We live in Montreal. Quebec is a very progressive society. The church ran the province for many, many years, and then the Quiet Revolution came in and people don't get married anymore, and they have very few kids, and no one goes to church. So Quebec, it's fine. Tu fais ta vie, puis tout est beau, right?
You think it's still like that? I feel that
it is
it's
still like that.
more open. You look at social media, you look at what people are posting.
Because you're
what they're saying.
you're looking at our society,
Exactly.
not
It's still,
some of the other.
It's still, teen suicide is, 3 or 4 or 5 times more prevalent for gay teens than non-gay teens who suffer from other mental health issues, bullying and things like that. But it's not. But it gets better campaign.
Do you feel like, I'm thinking when you came out that must have been hard. I'm thinking today it's probably easier. It's more accepted.
Yes.
There's a progress either way.
In Montreal, yes. In Toronto, yes. But in Des Moines, Iowa, maybe no. Or in Cheyenne, Wyoming, probably not. These are like right-wing, redneck, Christian, church-going people. And no son of mine is going to be gay. If you take Dick Cheney, his daughter is a lesbian, right? And he was the vice president. And the whole Marriage Act came up at that time, and it was a very big deal for him. And that's why he couldn't run for president, because his daughter was a lesbian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he couldn't, on the one hand, go to his daughter's lesbian wedding and then get up to his followers and his base and say, I'm against same-sex marriage, and marriage is between a man and a woman. And people have those beliefs. Donald Trump is a homophobe. He's a clear homophobe, and he doesn't hide it. He says it in a subtle way, and then all his followers will latch onto that, right? You just need one leader to be against it, and the evangelical guys who preach in the churches and things like that. And it's unfortunate because it should be more about inclusion and diversity.
Have you experienced any?
Good question.
Not to my face.
Hate or
Not to my face. And
No, but you do it behind your back.
Yeah, I do behind my back, but it's ironic because I'm an Anglophone, Jewish, and gay. So I got in Quebec an Anglo-Quebecer, a Jewish Quebecer, which is a minority, and I'm gay also. And people at work, they say, for the statistics, all I would need is to be in a wheelchair and I'd fill all 4 groups, right? and with affirmative action. But none of those things ever bothered me, and I've had more bigotry against me to my face as a Jewish person than as a gay person. which isn't a good thing either.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's what you mean.
either way, it's bad. But the gay thing is a non-issue. I lived with my partner in Vaudreuil, which is a very young family bedroom community with 2.2 kids and a piscine hors terre, you know. Like, and we never thought about it. It was just like a normal thing. We lived in a townhouse with about 15 houses. There was the association. We knew our neighbors. It was like, maybe they said that, that's the gay couple over there. Like, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't derogatory. That's how we are. We had a couple next to us that's the Italian couple. Before we knew their names, it was the Italian couple. So we were the gay couple. And no one had an issue with it. So it became a non-issue. And if you look at the gay village in Montreal now, unfortunately, it's pretty much, even pre-COVID, it's finished. The restaurants are closed, bars are closed. There's no need for it anymore.
Right.
What do you mean? I think that's
Gay people don't need to be in a...
They don't need to be segregated.
In a cloistered environment.
But it's funny, you know, I had a patient last week who was, I think, 50, and it was for sexual issue, and he sort of at one point in the conversation said, you know, well, I'm gay, and he starts to explain an issue, and he goes, I hope I didn't make you feel uncomfortable. So it was strange that he even had to preface it by saying that I would feel uncomfortable knowing that he's gay and that he has intercourse with a man. You know, it was.
But you told him that you see naked men 15 times a day, right? So
I told him, I said, listen, in my field, there's nothing you can say that's going to insult me, and I'm here to help you and not judge in any way and whatever. But it was just interesting that at 50 years old, with I'm not an 80-year-old doctor, that he had to excuse it. Not, you know.
It was a thing.
It was a thing.
Right.
Still.
And every time I started a new job, I mean, I've been with the government for 30 years, but different mandates. So I got a promotion, moved to Ottawa. It's like, c'est commencé each time, because then they want to know about you. It's a normal thing. They want.
Do you come out and say, hey, I'm gay, or you just? If
I don't say anything. But then they come. I'm a sociable guy. If I didn't talk to anybody, it would be. I know guys at work who are gay who are very. They're not closeted, but they're very quiet. As it is, they don't talk about their vacation. I talk about my vacation. So I said we, he, we. Like I had to be very careful at the beginning. I wasn't going to lie and say she. So it was always like we. We did this and we did that, and my travel companion. I mean, you know. Yeah. So, when I moved to Ottawa, I remember all the girls wanted to know what my story was. I used to say, not that I'm a Greek god like you are, but I used to say, if I didn't look good and I wasn't nice and I was ugly and I was not attractive and I'm not a good guy, and no girl would want to be with me anyway, right? But when I came in and I looked good and I presented myself well and I flirt, and so they were, hey, know the story? Is he single? Does he have a girlfriend? And that's when it starts. So I used to say, in a way, I'm a victim of my success. In that way.
But you also own it a little bit. Yeah. You know, you're not. You know, for my girls, he was always Uncle Peter. You know, the gay Uncle Peter, and he's not afraid to. It's not in your face, but he's not afraid, or at least in our world, to. He owns it.
You can joke and joke about it, but we joke about everything. I make fun of myself about everything, right? I'm the first. I make fun of everybody else, but I get away with it because I make fun of I'm the first one to make fun of myself, right? I'll tease you, but it'll be prefaced by something about, you know, putting myself down first, and that makes it fun.
How do you feel since you came out to today? I mean, how do you feel? What's the progression has been that you've seen? Because if we have a 20-year-old watching, and you know this video, and they're in the closet, they're afraid.
Right.
I would rewind that. I would say 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Right. Each case is different, individual. Look, you need someone to talk to, and I had no one to talk to. Right. It's a living hell. That's what it's called, living hell.
Could have talked to me.
I could have talked to you. And then he became a urologist, so you know the whole thing was very very weird. And you need to find a guidance counselor. There is somebody somewhere who you can trust and talk to. And you know, I could picture, say my father's going to kill me, my parents are going to kick me. I know guys who got kicked out of their house, and young guys. They're 25 or 30. They're not my age, and
they shouldn't be living at home anymore.
No, at the time when they were 18, they got kicked out of their house. Like, can you imagine your parents kick you out of the house because you're gay? I mean,
I've heard stories of that.
Yeah. There's not specific to any community. It could be French Canadian, it could be Greek, it could be English, it could be French. And my parents kicked me out of the house because I'm gay. And when you hear that, it just rips your heart out, because you have to love your children unconditionally, right?
Absolutely.
And for everything else, these kids are good kids. they're doing the right thing. They go to school, they're polite, they're no problem with the law, they don't take drugs, but they're gay, out of the house, So but these.
Well, it's good that we've seen the community and the awareness grow and everything be more open, because I think
Absolutely.
it's so important, because they shouldn't be suffering over this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, I
When-
could just
when I-
imagine living like,
It's a living hell.
yeah, it must be.
And when I see a 15-year-old kid going to prom with his boyfriend, or a girl going with her partner, and they go to the prom together, and they're allowed to go to the prom together, that's another thing. In the States, you see that all the time. They want to go to school, won't let them. Two girls can't go to the prom together.
Well, there was just a Netflix with Meryl Streep, a whole Netflix movie about it, a musical, about exactly that. Two girls, and I'm watching this, and again, maybe it's because of the world I'm growing up in. I'm saying, it's 2020.
Why is it an issue?
Why is this still a thing?
Yeah, why are we even having
I
this
can't
discussion?
believe
Exactly.
it, and it just makes you think that yes, Montreal, progressive, and so on.
Exactly.
But I guess to so many people, this is still
Right.
a major thing. It's
Go to New
crazy.
York,
It's
go to
crazy.
Miami, go to LA. It's in your face there. I mean, it's everywhere. But then you go to a small town in Mississippi, and I know in the African American community and the African Canadian community and the Haitian community, it's very taboo.
Yeah,
it's
that's-
very taboo.
But you know, it's funny because now it's okay. Oh, he's gay. He's only gay. Thank God he's not a transsexual. You know,
Right.
so it's
Exactly.
now being gay is mainstream. But
Exactly.
then we have something else which is now
Yeah.
more out there that it's So it's
How do you feel about that when you see that, it's now we have transgender and all these new kind of different.
I think that it always existed. It's just people were not able to go forward with it for societal reasons. Costs were prohibitive, whereas now the government will pay for sex reassignment because it is a mental health issue, and you could be born wrong. I mean, I believe it, and they could correct it and make
Can
you have
you say that mental health, or would that?
No,
be-
you have mental health issues as a result of.
it,
It's
okay.
not a mental health, but and most people become depressed. Suicide rates are high, and they withdraw from society completely, all because of something that could be helped for them, and they have the resources are there. And now I know the Quebec government, I believe, the army pays for gender reassignment for their soldiers, which is a great thing. Because it's like a $50,000 operation. I mean, nobody can afford that. So I think that it's out front and center. I think that's very good, and it's important. If I told you that you couldn't live your life tomorrow as a Greek man who's a personal trainer, you have to put all that in the drawer and never do it again. You'd be miserable,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? So I think though that there are still kids who are suffering, and they have to find someone that they could trust. It's one person. It starts with one person. And if you look on YouTube, there was the campaign that it was Hillary and Bill piggybacked onto it. This guy who started it, it was called the It Gets Better campaign. And it's for those teenagers who are suffering and to let them know that it does get better.
They have to have the gay balls to talk about it.
Gay balls to talk about it. Peter, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys. This
I
is
think
good.
it's a great topic and definitely like a great story. And thank you for sharing it. And I hope that somebody who's going to watch this is not going to live in that fear
Absolutely.
and just come out and open up to at least one person, like you said. I think that's the best advice.
And you can go online. There's resources. You just type in, teen, gay, help. Just 3 words, and you'll get a whole slew of community resources to help. Anonymous.
When we post this, we should put some links.
Yeah, I'll put
on
the
it.
link on the comment box.
They have bilingual services. They have gay écoute and
Just call Peter.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Have the Balls to Talk About It. Peter, you definitely had the balls to talk about it, so you could just
teabagging.
teabagging.